It was on 21st May 1991, exactly 33 years ago, that Rajiv Gandhi arrived in a village called Sriperumbudur, about 40 kilometers from Chennai, around 10 p.m., as part of his election campaign. Lakhs of people had gathered there to hear him speak. Among them were many students. But slipping past all of them was a woman named Dhanu alias Thenmoji Rajaratnam, dressed in black. She pushed through the crowd to garland Rajiv Gandhi. She approached him, placed the garland, and bent down as if to bow at his feet. At that moment, she pressed the switch of the RDX bomb, about 700 grams, strapped around her waist. In a matter of seconds, the explosion tore through the area, killing both Rajaratnam and Rajiv Gandhi, whose body was ripped apart. Along with them, about 16 others died instantly, and 43 more were critically injured. Who was this woman, Thenmoji Rajaratnam, who gave her life to assassinate Rajiv Gandhi in such a brutal manner? Why did she target him? Just 4 hours before Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, the Indian embassy in Sri Lanka received a mysterious phone call. The caller asked, "Is Rajiv Gandhi still alive?" Who made that call? How was the murder planned in such detail? What were the real reasons behind it? Even after 33 years, why does the mystery of Rajiv Gandhi's death remain unresolved? Let's uncover every point in detail in this video. Friends, this is going to be an intense and informative story, so don't skip the video. But to fully understand the mystery behind Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, we first need to know a little about his life. Rajiv Gandhi's full name was Rajiv Ratna Gandhi. He was born on 20th August 1944 in Bombay. He was the second son of Indira Gandhi. His grandfather was Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. His mother, Indira Gandhi, became the first female Prime Minister of India. In 1961, Rajiv Gandhi was sent to London for higher studies. From 1962 to 1965, he studied mechanical engineering at Imperial College London but failed his final exams and did not graduate. While studying there, Rajiv also worked part-time as a waiter at a restaurant named Varsity. During this time, he fell in love with a girl named Edwige Antonia Albina Mano. She wasn't particularly interested in academics. In 1966, Rajiv Gandhi returned to India. The same year Indira Gandhi became the Prime Minister. After returning, he joined the Delhi Flying Club and trained to become a pilot. In 1968, he married Antonia Mano. After marriage, she changed her name to Sonia Gandhi. By 1970, Rajiv Gandhi began working as a pilot for Air India. At that time, during Indira Gandhi's leadership, the Sri Lankan government was marginalizing Tamil citizens. 2 major Tamil parties joined to form the Tamil United Liberation Front. But why were Tamils in Sri Lanka being oppressed? Before 1948, Sri Lanka was part of British India. Many Tamil workers from India had migrated to Sri Lanka for work and settled there. But Sri Lanka also had another ethnic group, the Sinhalese, who practiced Buddhism. In 1948, Sri Lanka gained independence and became a separate nation. The Tamils who had migrated from India came to be called Indian Tamils. If we look at Sri Lanka's map, the red-shaded northern region is predominantly Tamil, while the rest of the island is home to the Sinhalese. The Sinhalese comprised around 75% of the population, while the Tamils were a minority. After independence, the Sinhalese majority government feared the Tamils would overpower them. So, the government began taking systematic steps to marginalize the Tamil population. They stripped Indian Tamils of their voting rights, declared Sinhala as the official language instead of English, and gave educational reservations to Sinhalese students while excluding Tamils. In 1972, a new constitution declared Buddhism the state religion. These discriminatory policies sparked mass protests among Tamils. The government responded with brutal crackdowns, sending the army into Tamil areas, killing protesters, and committing atrocities like rape and violence against Tamil women. The aim was to force Tamils to flee the country. In response, Tamil groups united under the Tamil United Liberation Front, demanding a separate Tamil state called Tamil Eelam. Violent clashes between the Sinhalese and Tamils intensified. Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister at the time, supported the Tamil struggle, partly due to political reasons. Many Tamils lived in India, and losing their support could hurt Congress. In 1976, the Tamil United Liberation Front evolved into the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE, led by Velupillai Prabhakaran. He established a military wing for armed resistance. Indira Gandhi supported the LTTE with weapons, training, and supplies sent via air from India. Meanwhile, in June 1980, Rajiv Gandhi returned from London after the tragic death of his brother, Sanjay Gandhi, in a plane crash. Around that time, Shankaracharya from Badrinath met Indira Gandhi's family and advised Rajiv to enter politics. Many Congress leaders also urged him to do so. Rajiv entered politics and won the Lok Sabha election in 1981. In 1984, after Indira Gandhi's assassination by her Sikh bodyguard, Rajiv Gandhi became the interim Prime Minister. In the 1986 elections, Congress secured 514 seats, and Rajiv Gandhi formally became PM. By then, civil war raged between Tamils and Sinhalese in Sri Lanka. Until 1986, Rajiv continued Indira Gandhi's policy of aiding the LTTE. But in 1987, a major twist occurred. The Sri Lankan government agreed to peace talks with Rajiv Gandhi, promising equal rights for Tamils in exchange for the LTTE laying down arms and abandoning the demand for a separate state. Rajiv agreed. This agreement was known as the Indo-Sri Lanka Accord. However, LTTE chief Prabhakaran refused to accept the deal, stating they wouldn't stop until a separate Tamil state was achieved. This marked a turning point. India, which had earlier supported LTTE, turned against it. From 1987 to 1990, India deployed the Indian Peacekeeping Force, IPKF, to Sri Lanka to suppress LTTE. In this three-year conflict, 1,137 Indian soldiers were killed and over 2,670 wounded. Meanwhile, back home, Congress lost the 1989 general elections, partly due to the Bofors scandal. Congress leaders were accused of receiving kickbacks from Swedish firm Bofors in a 1,437 crore rupees arms deal. It became a national controversy, leading to Congress's defeat and Janata Dal forming the government. But within 2 years, the government lost its majority, prompting fresh elections in 1991. By then, the Tamil-Sinhalese conflict in Sri Lanka had worsened. In an interview, Rajiv Gandhi declared that if he returned as PM, he would again send peacekeeping forces to control Tamil agitation in Sri Lanka. Hearing this, Prabhakaran realized that if Rajiv Gandhi returned to power, the LTTE would be attacked again and crushed. He decided to eliminate Rajiv before he could regain power and full security. He selected 5 individuals to execute the assassination, 2 men and 3 women, Shivrasan, Hari Babu, both journalists, and 3 women, Nalini, Dhanu, Thenmoji Rajaratnam, and Subha. Dhanu and Subha were suicide bombers. Shivrasan outlined 3 options: throw a grenade, coconut bomb, shoot from a distance, sniper, or a suicide bombing. He chose the third. Of the 5, Dhanu and Subha volunteered for the suicide mission. 700 grams of RDX were strapped to their bodies. The others, Nalini, Hari Babu, and Shivrasan, were to assist. On 21 May 1991, Rajiv was scheduled to speak at a rally in Sriperumbudur. At 6 p.m., he finished an event in Visakhapatnam and was heading to the airport when his flight was delayed due to a technical issue. After a brief wait, the flight was cleared, and he departed for Chennai, reaching at 8:20 p.m. From there, he travelled by car to Sriperumbudur, about 33 kilometers away. Meanwhile, the assassins reached the rally venue. Rajiv was to enter via a red carpet path, flanked by a ladies' section and a statue of Indira Gandhi near the entrance. A list of 23 people, including students and journalists, had been approved to greet him. 300 policemen were assigned to check and guard these 23 people. The venue was under IPS officer R.K. Raghavan's supervision, and a Congress leader, DJ Bose, coordinated the guest list. Hari Babu posed as a photographer and was let in. Nalini and Subha went to the ladies section, but Dhanu, who was to carry out the bombing, needed access to the red carpet. She approached DJ Bose and requested to meet Rajiv, causing a scuffle. Amid the confusion, she slipped behind the 23 approved individuals. At 10 p.m., Rajiv arrived, bowed to Indira Gandhi's statue, and walked the red carpet. A student named Kokila recited a poem for him. Sub-Inspector Anusuya warned him not to stay long. Just then, Rajiv insisted Dhanu be allowed to greet him. Dhanu stepped forward, garlanded Rajiv, bowed as if touching his feet, and detonated the RDX bomb at 10:20 p.m. The explosion killed Rajiv, Dhanu, Kokila, and 16 others. 47 people were seriously injured, including journalist Hari Babu, whose camera film later helped identify the culprits. Following the attack, Indian authorities launched a massive investigation. Two of the key conspirators, Dhanu and Hari Babu, died in the blast. Shivrasan later committed suicide. Others like Nalini, Perarivalan, who helped make the bomb, and Subha were caught. The Supreme Court initially gave them death sentences, later commuted to life imprisonment. Interestingly, Sonia Gandhi had repeatedly warned Rajiv not to become PM, fearing he would meet the same fate as Indira. Similarly, Tamil Nadu governor Bhishma Narayan Singh had twice advised Rajiv not to visit Tamil Nadu. Rajiv ignored both warnings. His life ended tragically at the age of 46. On 24 May 1991, his cremation was held at Veer Bhumi near the Yamuna River, the same site where Nehru, Indira, and Sanjay Gandhi were cremated. As for that mysterious phone call to the Indian embassy, 6 hours before the bombing, it was later found to be a hoax. Many such fake calls had been received in the past as well. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon for more updates. See you in the next video.